Hello, YouTuber boomers. So happy Mother's Day to all those mothers out there. And happy Mother's Day to all those fathers that had to act as mothers because the mother wasn't able to do what they wished to do. So, today early, got out early at 4:30 in the morning when it was still dark and extremely foggy. There's a cat at the window. And headed to Boston, uh, Boston, Mass, the city which is the capital of Massachusetts, and where Logan Airport is. And my younger daughter was flying home from Arizona, where she has been for a while, and I volunteered to go get her, essentially. So I had all excited. I was going to go shoot a whole bunch of video of planes taking off and landing and get the sun's rise. I thought it would be awesomely cool. Well, here it is, pea soup. It was pea soup pulling out of my driveway, and it was pea soup all the way in there, and the airport was pea soup. It didn't actually start to burn off until on the way home about, I don't know, 11. And still, it's kind of hazy out. So I haven't been to Boston. Believe it or not, I haven't been to that side of the state for several years, really. Now, why go there if you don't have a good reason, you know? It's about 3 hours to drive from one side of the state to the other. Maybe a little more. And this is on the Mass Pike, Route 90. If you're going other roads, it would take longer, of course. And yeah, they've taken out all the toll booths. Everything's on electronic tolls. They scan your car and you go under it. I have a transponder, but other people, it will just photo your license plate and then they'd send you a bill. So it actually was a rather peaceful drive in. There wasn't as much traffic as there was coming back home. And so I'll throw in my little bits and pieces here and there on the little journey. But this is essentially Route 90. Everything, all the clips have been sped up 3 times as fast because otherwise it'd be a much longer video. So if you want to speed it up even more on your YouTube channel, you're more power to you. So we're leaving a rest stop, the last rest stop on the Pike before you go into Boston, and the Natick, which is actually where I grew up. Most of my young life was in Natick, Mass. And so we're actually gonna go over 128/95, and then we'll head on into Boston. So here we are heading in. You could see we're starting to get more congested, more buildings, more offices and stuff as we travel in. Uh, the town on the left-hand side is actually where Field of Dreams when they were at Jones's house, his apartment was over there on the left. Um, So along here, you're going to see some lights on the right hand. See those two towers? That's Boston University. That's where their campus is. It's a fairly sizable campus. Along here, you'll see some stadium lights on the right hand side. That's where Fenway Park is. Coming up right there. And then in front of us is the middle building is the Prudential Tower, which used to be the tallest building in Boston. And then the one on the left is the Hancock, the new Hancock building. And there's looks like they're building another building next to it. I'm not sure exactly now which one's buildings are the tallest. There's an old Hancock building that you can still see in a lot of places around Boston, and the top of it will light up. And if it lights blue during the winter time, it's going to snow. And if it goes red, it's going to rain. It'll also light up, I think it's blue if the Red Sox win, or red, I don't know. I'm sure someone can Google it. And if they really care, they can post it in the comments. It's just one of those things you look over and say, darn it, it's gonna snow. Which that was before smartphones. Ugh. So many things are replaced with smartphones. So here we started to go through some tunnels. Those were just buildings above. Now we're heading into the tunnels that are going down underneath of well, this is the Green Monster Tunnel, and now we're under the tunnel for going under the Boston Harbor. So to get over into North Boston, which is where the airport is, or East Boston, it's actually where the airport is, but part of it is North Boston too. But you have to go underneath the Boston Harbor in order to get to the other side. You can either go across on the Tobin Bridge above, or you go underneath. So these tunnels have been here for a long time. And they get you to the other side. And then onto the airport. Now the airport's very well laid out, I'll have to say. I had no trouble driving around it 4 or 5 times. I found the terminal right away, but I got there about 10 after 7. Her plane landed around 7:30, and then she didn't get her bags and out to the curb until 8. So I just kind of poked around. I really wanted to shoot some video of planes taking off and some sunrise pictures, but the fog was just too bad. So I just kind of hovered around here and there and stretched my legs. So this is Terminal C. Now this was the first time I stopped. And after this, there were 3 more times. Yeah. You're not actually supposed to stop here. Usually they're lined with state police that are telling you to move on. And I didn't want to be shuffled off, so I ended up pulling out and going around and found a couple of places to sit. So the third time I drove through, I didn't quite see her until actually I was driving past. So I had to go around the loop one more time. Of course, I accidentally went off the airport. I had to drive over to East Boston and then come back again. But this is where she is now. I'm trying to figure out where she is. She said she'd be right out here. And then in the distance, I see somebody jumping up and down, waving their hands. I'm going, cool, there she is, right there, at the end of these cars. And I get down to the end of these cars, and it's not her. But then I spot her. Now I'm not sure if that shirt is pink or if it's red, but it looks red, but then it looks pink. But finally, I pick up the package, get her into the car, and off we go. There we go. And I have to tell you, it's really easy. The old days, 20 years ago, getting in and out of the airport was always a nightmare. The last thing you want, the best time to fly in and out of the airport was Christmas Day. It was, only a fool would be flying in on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day. I'm gonna have to pick up a relative on those days, and it was so nice. So here we are, we're heading down into a tunnel to go back underneath of the ocean. And we're going to come out on the other side onto a road called Storrow Drive. Now, Storrow Drive and Memorial Drive, they parallel the Charles River, which the Charles River actually goes over, I'd have to Google it, but it goes through many, many towns heading west to east. It goes through a set of locks when it comes into the ocean because it's a fresh water, and the seawater, you want to keep the seawater out of the fresh water. But Storrow Drive, it's a common for Storrow Drive because it has all these low bridges that some foolish truck that can ignore those signs saying, 11 feet or 10 feet, they'll ignore those signs saying maximum height. And what do you think happens? They get stuck, and then they have to be backed up all the way to where they entered the road from. So Storrow Drive is on the Boston side of the Charles River, and Memorial Drive is on the Cambridge side, on the other side of the river. It goes by MIT and Harvard University. And also the Esplanade for the Boston City Orchestra is over here by Storrow Drive. So there we are. So I filmed bits and pieces of the whole trip, but in order to save you guys the time of watching a 6-hour adventure, I'm only posting up here. It's 14 minutes. Multiply that times 3. That's what you get. So hopefully you enjoyed this little snap into the world. And this is a very common road to travel on when you're having to pop around Boston area, particularly if you're working here, which is what I did for very many years.